Hey everyone, hello and welcome to tonight's Academy Chat. My name's Zach Dukowitz. I'll be your host tonight. I'm a marketing coordinator here at the Academy. I've been with the Academy for a little over 4 years. And tonight, of course, we'll be talking with Brittany Barthelmess. She's an alum of our domestic Chinese Academy. She attended the Academy in 2017 and 2018. Just a few housekeeping items before we go any further. So one item, someone's already asked a question about this, about how to ask questions. Please do feel free to ask questions at any point during this chat tonight. You can ask questions either using the Q&A pane that you'll see at the bottom of your screen or the chat pane. It really doesn't matter. I'll be monitoring both. So please do feel free and don't be shy to hop in there and ask any questions. And your questions could be related to what we're talking about. They could be logistical questions that you have. It's our goal to answer all your questions tonight, but we may not have the chance to, just given time constraints. If your questions aren't answered for some reason tonight, please know that we'll be following up later. Our enrollment team will be following up. So we do want to make sure all your questions get answered. But please do feel free to go ahead and start submitting them. So the way this will be structured tonight, Brittany and I will have an interview. We'll get a chance to hear from Brittany about her experiences with the Academy. And then we'll go into a Q&A after about 15 minutes. We do want to respect everyone's time. We know time is precious, so we will stick to a pretty tight schedule and move things along. We'll also be sending out a recording of this conversation. So if for some reason you missed something, you want to go back and check it out, you want to share it with someone else, you will be getting an email tomorrow that has a recording. Okay, so all the housekeeping items aside, we're going to go ahead and dive in. I'm going to let Brittany introduce herself. So one really neat thing about her, I'm not going to steal her thunder. I want to let her talk about this, but she's got a really active vlog on YouTube, and she's created several videos about her experiences at the Academy. So I'll just mention that, and then Brittany, I'm going to hand it off to you if you could introduce yourself and tell us about your experiences with the Academy and who you are.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for letting everybody know. You should all go see my vlog if you're really interested in this Academy. So my name is Brittany Barthelmess. Like Zach said, I am an alum. I went to the Academy 2 years. I'm currently a college student. So I was at the Academy when I was 17 and 18. And oh, sorry about that. And I am currently a college student at Maryville College in Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee, and I am a double major in American Sign Language interpreting and theater studies. So it doesn't have to do with Chinese, but I have always been a lover of learning languages ever since I was a little kid. I was always trying to learn different languages, whether it was when I was little, I was interested in Danish and Portuguese, and when I got to being a high school student, I started being interested in Chinese. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Brittany. And I do want to say we'll be sharing a link to Brittany's vlog a little later on in this presentation. So we'll definitely get that to you. And it'll be in the email that we send out tomorrow as well. Before I ask our first question, one thing I want to say, a quick shout out to anyone who's on the chat tonight, who's attending from the Northeastern Conference for the Teaching of Foreign Languages. We have several people there today exhibiting at a booth. So if you were at a booth today at what's otherwise called NECTFul, hello and welcome. We're really glad to have you here. So Brittany, the first question, you were just touching on this. Could you tell us a little more about why you decided to study Chinese?
It's actually kind of funny because my boyfriend, who is actually currently in this chat right now, Liam, so he's listening, he went to this academy. He started learning Chinese just sort of like in school as his chosen language. And he went to the academy the year before I did and came back, and he wouldn't stop speaking Chinese. He loved it, and it was kind of funny because I would just get bothered by it. Like, he wouldn't speak English with me and I couldn't communicate. And so eventually I was like, you know what, Liam, why don't you just teach me some Chinese so that I can communicate with you, since you clearly just want to speak Chinese all the time. So he started teaching me, and I just fell in love with the language. That's really the best way I can describe it. I loved text. We would text, we would talk, and I didn't have a chance to take it in school for that semester. But so I would he introduced me to some of his friends that he had met at the academy the previous year, and I got to talk with them, and I just really just started teaching myself to the best of my ability Chinese. And so when I wanted to further that and just keep talking and keep learning Chinese, and I was like, maybe I should go to this. So I looked it up, and that is why I decided to go. It was so fun. He ended up going to Beijing, so the abroad version, the year that I went to the academy for the first time, so in 2017. But yeah, we both love it. And so he's really what got me started learning Chinese, but I really just fell in love with the language, and I really just wanted to continue doing that.
It's really a neat story, and kudos to Liam for his curiosity, and you for sticking with it. I know it's hard to learn another language, and especially Chinese. Tell us, so I think everyone on the chat probably knows that we have a pledge for all of our students, our staff, faculty, everyone involved, to stay in language that we take at the beginning, which is a pledge you keep throughout the entire 4 weeks, and you stay in the language that you're learning the whole time. Can you tell us if you found that intimidating, Brittany, when you first heard about it, or even when you first showed up for the academy? What was your experience like with the pledge?
I wasn't that intimidated. There were other students there, I remember, when they were really nervous about it, but I was mostly just excited. I really wanted it to start. Like the first day, you don't speak the language because they're explaining stuff and you're sort of getting used to it, but the second day you start it. And so I was mostly just eager. What was it? When I decided that I was going to go, which was the December before that summer, Liam and I did a all language day to prepare for it. So we spoke Chinese that entire day, just to sort of get a feel for it, which was a fun thing that I did with him. And our parents were like, "What are you saying?" It was kind of funny. But then you were able to learn how to communicate when people didn't understand you, which really helped when you're in the academy and there are people with lower skills, or people who have better skills than you in that language, and being able to find other ways to communicate not in English. So we had a sort of a preparation day in December, and that was fun. And yeah, I was mostly just eager. I was really excited. I mean, it can be a little daunting, but I found that, like when in doubt, act it out. You can get your dictionary out. You can explain things with your hands and your body. You can point to things that you can use other ways to get your point across. And then in the long run, if you're talking with a teacher or with somebody with a better, higher skill than you, and they know how to say that word or concept, they can tell you, and then you learn something new. So it wasn't really daunting or intimidating for me. It was really just, I was excited to get started.
That's awesome. And can you tell us about, I'd love to hear about your experiences with communication. I know we might have some parents on right now who are apprehensive at the thought of not being in close communication with their child. So, and also part of the language pledge is that students generally do give up their cell phones, at least at the domestic academy. So could you talk about how communication was with your parents? Did you feel like you had the opportunity to speak with them often? Anything you can say about that?
Yeah, I love having sort of a phone cleanse where I don't have my phone, because it just allows you to get away from all the social media and the internet and people, and you just get to have more quality time and with your new friends. And so I really liked not having my phone. But I will say it is nice that they give you a weekly call with your parents. You do get your phone once a week. For like an hour, and you can speak with them in English and call them, and you can really, you can call your friends too, but you get your phone for that hour and you can speak English for that hour. But so I felt like I had more than enough communication with my parents. Maybe that's also because I have gone to summer camps where I haven't been able to have my phone before, like growing up, and so I was kind of used to it. But you really don't need to. You can get all of your, information out to them within an hour-long phone call. I think it's plenty of time. And if you're a parent and you're nervous about your kid, and if something terrible or an emergency happens, of course they're going to contact you. Like they're not going to just leave you in the dark and you have to wait until that point to find out that your kid, something happened. They're going to contact you, so there's really nothing to worry about. And I think you're going to be just fine, and they're going to be just fine, and when they do get to call you, it'll make it that much more special. So I really liked not having my phone, and I think I had plenty of time with it and being able to contact my parents, and they were satisfied with how much time that I was able to get. So
Awesome. Thank you. Because yeah, I know that's definitely a stressor, just thinking about communication. So thank you for that. Another question that I like to hear what students have to say. What was something you struggled with when you were at the academy, and then what were some of the things that that you really enjoyed?
Let's see. Something that I struggled with was, I don't know, staying in language the first week, I would say, and the last week. The first week and the last weeks are the hardest to stick to the pledge, because the first week you're just getting into it and you're sort of used to speaking English. And then the last week you're kind of like, oh my gosh, we only have a week left, and you're all excited. So I would say getting yourself to stay in language for those 2 weeks. The middle weeks it's very easy to stay in language because you're used to it. And it also feels very weird in your mouth to speak English afterwards. It was really uncomfortable. I don't know how to explain it. And it really shows the growth that you can make in your language. So I'd say the hardest part was probably that. Maybe also class for 3 hours. But if you have a good teacher, like both summers, I had a really good teacher, and it was really fun. And you get close to your teachers, you can talk to them, they're really friendly and nice, and you can come to them with any problem or any question. So class for 3 hours can seem kind of like, ooh, oh my gosh, 3-hour class, but your teachers make it fun, and you get to explore new topics in the language that you wouldn't normally talk about with your friends. So I think that's probably what I struggle with most. Things that I really enjoyed. Was that the question? Things that I enjoyed.
Yeah, it was a two-part question. Sorry, I threw that curveball at you.
Things that I enjoyed. The people, the friends that you make. It makes the experience all that much better. You get to meet people from around the country, and because you don't have your phone, and because you're going through this challenging language pledge together, you are so much more bonded. You get more not like FaceTime, like your phone, like one-on-one FaceTime together. You have inside jokes, and you just have this special connection with the people around you. And those friendships have lasted. Like, I still keep in touch with Justin, Ben, Kathleen. They were all like my closest friends. Jackson, sometimes we catch up. Eli, like all these friends that I made. And I still, talk to them. Thank goodness we have the internet, because they're all over the country. But it is so cool that I have these friends. And I think that was probably the best part. Maybe also going on the little excursions. We also got to go to, Albany and Church Street. And they would let you go out shopping with your friends. And you could, you just banded together and just made memories. It was really fun. We went to the beach once. That was cool. Yeah, I think that's probably the best part.
That's awesome. Thank you. And you're sort of touching on this. You talked about the next question you're touching on. You talked about 3 hours of class, but then you were also talking about excursions. I'm wondering if you could just talk us through a typical day or a typical week to illustrate. It's daunting to think about being in a classroom that much, but are there other contexts in which you're speaking the language you're studying? Are there other things going on besides being in a classroom?
Yes. Let's see. A typical day. We also had Tai Chi, which is this photo you can see. That's me and my friend Justin next to me, which was one of the most fun activities that we got to do. So you could choose, if you're in the Chinese Academy, that was something we got to do in the morning. So I would wake up, go to Tai Chi for half an hour, go to breakfast. Then we had a morning meeting where your RAs will plan a fun little activity. They'll also run through your day, what the weather is like. And it's all in language. Then you'll go to your class. We had our 3-hour class, and that'll take you until lunch. And then after that, after lunch, you have your activities in the afternoon, which was a culture class that varied week by week. Trying to think of some examples. Tai Chi was one of the culture classes. Sometimes they have calligraphy. They had dance. That was so fun. The dance teacher, she was so hysterical. I loved her. What else? There was a tea, like learning about the different Chinese teas. And it was just, yeah, there's different aspects of Chinese culture. So it wasn't just language class all the time. You got to experience a language in other contexts. You also got a free period, which happened later in the day, where you could just sort of hang out, do whatever with your friends, play cards. We would spend time in Dion, which is like one of the main buildings, and you would play pool or play cards or whatever, and just hang out, and you were just in language that whole time. Then there was dinner, and then dinner, and then there was always an evening activity, and that varied day by day. We had a magician come. That was really fun. I remember that being a lot of fun. You would have extra things that you do with your RAs, and you could bond with them. There was like a dance class and a music class. Like we worked on writing songs, and we sang "I Want It That Way" in Chinese. That was really cool. Yeah, that's kind of a typical day. On the weekends, you go out on an excursion. One thing that I'm pretty sure they do every single summer is you go to Middlebury College and you tour the campus, and you meet some people and you learn about it, and the language opportunities that they have there for you in college. But we went to Albany, we went to the beach, we went to this park on 4th of July. That was really cool. There were fireworks and there were other people, and other excursions that we went on. Church Street was really fun. One time my RA took our group to a Japanese place, and we all spoke Chinese, but we were eating Japanese food on Church Street, and that was fun. It was a fun bonding experience, and we all chipped in our money and stuff. So you get to do little fun things, and the people that you're with just make it a blast, and you'll bond with people, and it's just, yeah. And on Saturday, I totally forgot, on Saturdays you have a dance, and you can speak English for those 2 hours, I think it is. So you get like a weekly 2-hour period where you can speak English and dance to fun music. And sometimes you're with the other academies and sometimes you aren't. I don't remember. Actually, I think you aren't. But that was something I looked forward to every single Saturday. It was super fun. Yeah. There's also dumpling day. We made dumplings.
I think that might be my favorite day.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, we need to switch gears a little bit. We do have a lot more questions that I want to ask you if time allows, but right now I want to allow attendees, anyone who's on this webinar right now, on this chat, please ask your questions that you have of Brittany right now. Please don't be shy. You can use the Q&A pane or the chat pane. And we also have some questions that have come in from Edward. So Edward, I'm going to go ahead and answer those questions right now. These are more nuts and bolts questions, so more for me than Brittany. The first one is about whether we have a counselor that works with students throughout the stay to coordinate activities. So what we have is we have an RA. RAs are there to help students and basically serve as counselors with coordinating activities. And actually, Brittany, can you speak to, you actually could answer this better than me because you've lived through it. Do you have someone who's sort of your go-to person, whether it's for coordinating activities or getting questions answered, really anything you need?
Oh yeah, your RA is the person to go to. So they have you or have a group of people and you have meetings with that RA, and they will run you through certain things that are going on. The RAs run your morning meetings. They also just support you. They live on your hall. So if you need to go to their room and ask a question, you have nightly meetings and they walk through your day. So if you ever have any questions, I would say we would immediately go to your RA, and they were just like a counselor to help you. And they were also in language, so they had to speak Chinese as well. And you could ask them questions about how do you say this and how do you say that, and they were always there to help. And I would say the second person I probably went to would probably be the director. And then she would take us to the office, and someone from the office would help you if you really had something that you needed. But I would say your first person that you go to is the RA, and they become your closest friends as well.
Awesome. And that, I think that's reassuring to hear that there is that much constant support, because I know it's a little nerve-wracking to think about going into this situation, especially for the first time. A few other more nuts and bolts questions. So what type of medical facility is on campus? So we have a resident nurse, and there is space for students to get medical needs treated on campus, and the nurse is available throughout the academy. And then another question, this is really more of an enrollment question. I don't know the exact answer. How many kids are in a given language school, and is it evenly distributed? There are varying numbers of students really based on interest. Of course, we just have more interest in certain languages than others. So there are different numbers of students in different language schools. And the grade distribution is also going to vary based on interest. If you're interested in sort of more details about how many students are projected to be in a given academy for some reason, that would be a question that our enrollment manager would be happy to answer. So please feel free just to send an email to our enrollment manager, and we'll have that email up at the end of this presentation. It looks like we do have another question. Let's see. Oh, so this is a really good question about the coronavirus in Beijing. So this might be top of mind, right? We're talking, Brittany attended the Domestic Chinese Academy. There might be a lot of folks on here who are considering domestic Chinese, studying Chinese in Beijing. So we have not canceled the academy in Beijing. We are keeping it open right now. We're continuing to take in new information as it comes. And of course, we're in a lot of ways in the same situation as everyone on this call, sort of waiting to see what's going to unfold. But at the moment, we are planning to have the Beijing Academy. We still are 4 months out, and right now it seems as if everything's going to be just fine to run things there. That being said, if you're already enrolled in the Beijing Academy, or if you're hesitant, of course, we're happy to switch you over to the Domestic Academy or enroll you in the Domestic Academy if that's your preference. So yeah, we're fully aware of any hesitancy people have there. We're happy to support whatever decision people make. And I should say hi, Iris. Iris is an old friend who asked that question. Any other questions that folks have? I'm going to check the chat as well. So actually, Brittany, here's a question I have for you, and this comes up quite a bit. Do you have any advice for students who are considering doing this for the first time, regardless of the language they might want to study?
Yeah, go into it with a good attitude, because that good attitude is what's going to help you through the language pledge. Because there are some people who would go and just not want to be there. They were mad, they were upset, and it just didn't help things. It made them slip up on their language pledge, so they would like slip into English. So I would say go into it with a good attitude. Surround yourself with people who are similar to you, who you relate with, who are kind, and who are going to support you, and you can support them. Yeah, I would say just go into it just being positive and know that you're going to be okay. Bring around, this is something that you definitely need to bring. I had to buy it halfway through my first my first time there because I just felt like I needed it. A small pocket binder type thing that you can just keep in your pocket all the time and, whip it out when you have a question, when you learn a new vocab word, write it in there, and then that will help you because you can refer back to it later when you're not in class and you need to know this word. It'll really, really be helpful with the language pledge. Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm curious, as you told us when you introduced yourself, you're in college now. Do you feel like your experience with the academy helped you in your college applications, and do you feel like it might be helping you in college now? I'm just curious to see what kind of impact your academy experience had on your college studies.
In terms of the college applications, it was that this experience was one of my college essays. So in that way, yes, it helped me with that. I also think, even though I'm not studying Chinese right now, I'm in American Sign Language, which is a different language that I'm studying, but I feel like it helped a lot with independence. It helped a lot with just walking up to somebody and introducing yourself, because when you get to college, it's a whole new thing. It helped me learn about being in a dorm, having an RA, going and living, going to a dining hall every morning and being not around my parents and being okay with that, And so it also helps you learn communication skills, having hardworking skills that you're going to need to manage your time and manage your studies when you're in college. So I feel like the academy helped me a lot on that front, even though I'm not specifically studying Chinese right now. Also, colleges typically have international students. And so last year there were a bunch of international students, and most of them were from China, and so I got to go up to them and talk to them in Chinese, and they were so excited because being an international student can be even harder than just going to college. So they were just so happy that somebody spoke their language. And I wasn't fluent, because it's hard to get fluent over 4 weeks, but you definitely get to the point where you can be conversational and you can know what they're saying with ease. And so I was at that point, and I was able to just talk with them and work with them, and it made their experience better. It made my experience better. And so just knowing another language can be so beneficial wherever you go.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. I speak Spanish, but it's an amazing thing to be able to walk up to someone and connect when you couldn't otherwise.
Yeah.
One question we just had from a parent. Can you tell us about the progress that you made in your language acquisition? It's only 4 weeks, right? It doesn't sound like that much time. So how much do you feel like you learned over the course of the academy?
I learned so much. Oh gosh, how do I even describe it? Your conversation skills will skyrocket, just because as opposed to high school class, you don't get to talk very much with friends about the things that you want to talk about. But being in this experience, and under the pledge, you have to talk about the things you want to say in language. And because it's something that you're interested in, whether you're talking about dance or turtles or whatever you like, you will remember it, and it will stick to your brain more because it's something that you're actually interested, and you're actually making a connection with someone, rather than just sitting in a class with your high school teacher and them teaching you how to say shoe, whatever. You get to actually connect with people, and it will stick to your brain, and your fluency, the speed at which you talk, will improve. And just hearing the language. I remember at the end of the program, the second time I went during graduation, when my teacher, the director will just give a speech. And I remember just being like, wow, I didn't even have to think about it. I just understood everything she said. I didn't even have to think, oh, what was that word? Or sometimes you have to break it down and think, this word means this word means this. And I had none of that. It was just freely, I was able to just understand everything she said. It was really nice. So I think it definitely skyrockets. And like I said, you're not going to be fluent. You're not going to know how to talk about quantum physics, but you'll be able to have a conversation with someone in that other country. And I think if you do this experience here, you'll definitely be way more prepared to go abroad if that's something that you're thinking about doing, and going to another country. And you'll be able to talk with people and ask directions and for food. So it definitely my language definitely got way better over the course of the 4 weeks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brittany. I'm going to take a moment and just talk about how impressive you are. So up on the screen, we have Brittany's vlogs. There's a link there that you can follow to see all the videos that she's made. Most of them were about her experiences studying Chinese, or many of them, I should say, are about her experiences studying Chinese with us, but there's other content on there. And you did a really impressive job with those. One other thing I want to say, though, I'm not sure if everyone can see this. I'm not sure what the sharing permissions look like, but Brittany's mom is on here, and she's written a really sweet note in the Q&A pane, and I'm just going to read it in case folks can't see it. It says, "This is Brittany's mom. I would say to other parents that you will end up being so proud," and I think there's 5 O's on the "so," "of your child's ability. My husband and I were floored with how fluent she became in 4 short weeks." So Brittany, thank you so much. We're really honored to have had you tonight, had you here, and had you talking about your experiences. I just want to say thanks. And
I'm so grateful to be here and be able to be that support for other people who are interested. And also the vlogs are all captioned. So I'm speaking Chinese in the vlogs, but I captioned them in English. So you'll be able to understand what we're saying.
Thanks for that note. Yeah. And one last thing, if you had questions that didn't get answered, or if you want to learn more, please follow up with our enrollment manager. You'll find the information right here on the screen. And if you go to our website, summerlanguageacademy.com, contact information is all over the place to reach out. So don't hesitate. If you have questions, please let us know. And as I said at the beginning, we will be sending out an email that has a recording of this presentation and also has more information about Brittany's vlog. So yeah, thank you so very much. Thanks again, Brittany. We're going to log off for tonight, but hopefully this is just the beginning of a conversation. Take care, everyone.